be in a position to answer the same question, and maybe you can tell us what Africa is going to be expecting to gain from this year's much-awaited COP30.
Yeah, I don't want to repeat what
Yes.
is mentioned already, but I would say, number one, also following the Ethiopian declaration that we just had, one of the things that Africa has come up with strongly, like I mentioned, the positioning is different this time. And so I believe we stand a better chance at the negotiation tables based of how we are now moving there with a voice that we can do this. We are actually drivers of change, but we do need, you know, the support from the countries need to come not as normal loans, but in the form of grants, so that African nations can be able to buffer themselves and already adapt to the effects of climate change. So it's a shift in mindset in the way that Africa will present itself at the negotiation table. Yeah.
All right. And you are going to be a part of COP30, of course. Yes. In what capacity?
Yeah, so in my capacity as a researcher, of course, I work on a day-to-day basis to generate evidence, which is very important in negotiation tables. And just to mention, Sheikhs, there was a complaint that, you know, not so many things from Africa are getting absorbed in these negotiations. And it's mainly because we do not publish. We are not producing papers that we can then use to support ourselves. So going into COP30 in my capacity as a researcher will be to represent African climate voices with evidence. So it's more of an empowerment, and specifically representing cities, because that's where my research is mainly focused on building urban resilience. So then how can our cities become more resilient? Is there data to support that as well? And so, and also, again, representing the millions of young people. We recently held the local Stocktech, which is like a mini COP that happened in Nairobi. And so we have a bunch of very critical outcomes that we will be presenting as COP30, as Ufanisi Research Africa. And so it's more of a representative role, but also generating the evidence that will then take to the negotiation table.
All right, brilliant. You know, the summit basically centered on nature-based solutions, right? And how exactly can we see that coming into play, particularly in our country, Kenya?
In a number of ways. Number one, when you talk about nature-based solutions, the first thing that comes to mind is, of course, tree planting.
Yes, of course.
And just nature regeneration activities like land reclamation and so forth. So Kenya as a country has been doing quite a bit on that. And I'm sure one of the conversations, again, I got this a lot from Addis Ababa, is then, because when we do nature regeneration, then we also bring in the topic of carbon financing and, you know, carbon credits and trading of this. So that's one of the things that is likely to come up in the sense that we are doing this nature regeneration activities and practices like planting trees and so forth. And so how can we leverage that to get some sort of funding in terms of carbon financing? Yeah.
All right. I'd like to take it back to Koil, who is obviously joining us from on Zoom. And my question to you is, you know, what do you think about Ethiopia's climate solutions, and what exactly can Africa as a whole take away from Ethiopia?